Oh man, I love being randomly sick. Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias for what is perhaps the first video that I've filmed in natural light in this room since I moved into this apartment. That might actually be true. There might be a hint of validity to that statement. Today we are checking out the Thomas Balisong Refault, the latest beginner slash budget friendly entry into the hobby from the well-liked and well-beloved Thomas Balisong. There's going to be a lot going on in this video, so let's get stuff out of the way in the beginning. Thomas did send these 3 Balisongs to me for free for the purpose of these videos, did not tell me or pay me to say anything whatsoever, and I am not financially affiliated with him in any way. As such, all the people who are inevitably going to be asking for links to this Balisong, no, I don't provide links in the description of my videos to maintain complete transparency so that you guys know that I'm not sneaking some affiliate link in where you're not aware of it. No links, go find it yourself. Google has a search bar and it is incredibly useful. That also being said, I don't know what's going on with the Amazon page for these things. Sometimes some of them are available, sometimes some of them aren't. This thing might not even be available for sale anymore when this video comes out. Based on the way that Thomas's projects have gone in the past, sometimes they just randomly stop being sold, sometimes they randomly start being sold again. I'm not Thomas. I can't tell you when it's coming back or what's available or when it's going to ship or any of that. I don't have that information. I'm sorry. You're going to have to go to Thomas or someone that he works with for that. If he even does work with anyone. I'm not actually sure if he has any affiliates like that or anything. Get it? Got it? Good. Let's get into the Refault. I have 3 here. So I think it would be most important to go over the differences in each of these variations, at least the ones that I have tried, before getting into comparisons, which I'm sure most of you are here for, to some of the other Balisongs in this price range. First of all, we have the G10 variant. This is the heaviest of the ones that I own, but actually no, let's not do the G10. Let's do G10. So G10 versus carbon fiber. In case you aren't aware, this is G10, the white one. This is carbon fiber, the black one. This is a very, very simple comparison to make because I have 2 of the exact same Balisong with the exact same blade and all of that. Carbon fiber is a little bit lighter than G10. The G10 Balisong has a little bit more handle weight to it, carries a tiny bit more momentum, and in my opinion is probably going to feel better for a beginner in terms of balance profile, whereas the carbon fiber takes a little bit of the weight out of those handles and distributes it into the rest of the Balisong, which I find I really enjoy. It delivers a more neutral experience while still being a little bit handle biased. I think this is what some people are going to prefer who are more into the hobby, but ultimately, if you're looking to get your first Balisong or you're looking to add to your collection, get whichever one you like the look of better. There's genuinely no reason, in my opinion, at this current point, to pick one over the other, unless you really think that that tiny bit of weight is going to affect things on the G10. Unfortunately, I wish I could. I can't give you any exact details on what the weights are. I really should. I have attempted to get a scale for Balisongs before, but it just didn't work, and I haven't tried again since. And by it didn't work, I mean the scale literally reported my freaking Thomas Astra is like 2 ounces. So, I don't know, man. What was I trying to say? I was trying to say something with that. Oh, yeah. I found a post where he listed the weight of the Refault as 3.5 to 4.1 ounces, and that's about as much as I can give you. I'm going to assume that the G10 Tonto blade is probably the 4.1. And then there's also Ultem that's available that's even lighter than carbon fiber from what I hear. That Bowie blade is probably the 3.5, but I can't tell you. So for all you need to know, lightest to heaviest, Ultem G10. Ultem carbon fiber G10. Ultem carbon fiber G10. And I really like the carbon fiber one. The carbon fiber one, thankfully, is the one that he sent me that's customized to me. It's got this kind of acid wash style blade with the Ethan blade bias. Huge thank you to Thomas for sending these things out, by the way. And we have a really, really solid beginner Balisong, but we'll get into that in just a second. What's the difference between the Tonto and the Bowie? This is also a really easy comparison to make because I have the same Balisong with different blades. The Bowie blade is honestly probably really sick for people who are beginners. The Bowie blade, I feel, is a little bit lighter, carries a little bit less weight in the blade. The blade carries a little bit more momentum. It's easier to get ricochets going. Rollovers, chaplains, things like that feel a little more stable on this blade because of the Bowie profile, because of the way it's distributed. There's less tip weight out here acting on the Balisong. For my preferences, I prefer that extra tip weight. I prefer that extra momentum that the blade does carry, and you can kind of feel it if you're kind of versed in how well or on how to tell differences between Balisongs. You can feel it. There's a noticeable increase in the momentum of the blade of the Tonto one because the Tonto one has weight going further out than the Bowie one does. But I feel like the Bowie one is far more cookie cutter. It's far more... how do I say this? It's probably more beginner friendly. It just feels a little bit more standard than the Tonto one does. But again, it's kind of a situation of get whichever one you like the look of. I think your opinion on the looks is going to affect your opinion of this Balisong far more than the balance between the two blades ever really will. But if you're really looking to min-max, this is a little bit more handle bias with the Bowie blade. The Tonto blade is a little bit more weighted towards the blade, but I still wouldn't call it blade biased or anything like that. And I think that about covers it. What's my favorite one? It's the Tonto one, the Tonto carbon fiber. I really do like this Bowie carbon fiber one. I find it really enjoyable to flip. It's a little bit lighter, but ultimately I prefer, like I said, that blade weight that comes with the Tonto blade. That being said, what do I think of the Balisong overall now that you know the differences of it? I think this thing is genuinely fantastic to flip. I think it's really such an elegant improvement over the default. If you allow me to grab my default, it really does, it delivers a very similar experience to the default while really honing in on and improving a lot of those features that I think drove people away from the default in the first place. The default was really poised to be an awesome option to people getting into the hobby, but the fact that its handles were built like tree trunks meant that its ability to be, you know, kind of universally enjoyed diminished quite a bit. Because you're going to get people who don't like thick, chunky handles like that who say that they don't like the default whatsoever. And the Refault really does kind of take away on this, at least in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. The handles are still thicker than your typical Balisong beginner, or beginner Balisong, but not by much. And it definitely doesn't feel that way when you flip it in your hands. It doesn't feel tree trunky. It doesn't feel like it's getting in the way of anything. It just kind of flips. And assuming that you're someone who's used to something with scales, I think this is an excellent option. Probably, this is something that we're going to talk about later, but definitely, in my opinion, worthy of getting into what I'm calling the big three for my recommendations for beginner Balisong flippers. And that would be the Orion 1.5, the Cheese / Nabali's Reverie. You can interchange those here. And then the Thomas Refault. These are three excellent options that anyone getting into the hobby could pick and be happy with any one of them, but they're also different enough from each other to allow you, if you're preference-based or if you're looking for something to add to your collection, to also find something cool. They're not just cookie cutters of each other, which I really like. So these really have become my big three recommendations to people getting into the hobby. Yes, I'm aware the Canyon exists, and that's another great option. But if I'm recommending something to someone who has the money to stretch out a little bit, these are the three that I'm pointing them towards. As far as the Refault in a vacuum, though, I just enjoy it. It just feels right. It's one of those Balisongs that makes you... I think a lot of the beginner Balisongs in our hobby are really good at fooling you into believing that they are just, you know, worth triple, quadruple the price of what they are, until you actually go out and try something that actually is triple or quadruple the price. Don't get me wrong, I think this thing does compete with the, this is a $75 Balisong. I think it does compete with some of the Balisongs that we've seen in the past at 120 or 150. But I really, really, really enjoy it until I run over here. I grab my Prisma Pro, which retails for about 3x. No, sorry, I can't do math. About 2.5x. I mean, yeah, 2.5x-ish the price. And you can feel immediately the improvements in the fit and finish, the flipping experience, the tolerances of the Prisma Pro. So by no means, and even something that's currently available, like the Superfly even, definitely just does have that kind of something that the beginner Balisongs don't when you flip it. But I have to say, this might be the closest that these beginner Balisongs have gotten me to that point. Like, it's the closest I've ever felt to saying, yes, this does compete with a $200 Balisong. Because while I genuinely believe it doesn't, if you were to flip this and only this, I think you could start believing that. I think it would trick you into believing that. And I just think that's pretty cool. I mean, the Cheese and the Orion have also, I've felt that in the past, but now coming back to them and flipping them, there is a level of kind of beginner or cheap Balisong to them. The Orion previously held that spot for like, oh, this is like double, triple the price. I think it might be the Refault now. I'm not sure though, because ultimately, like I said, these are all still $100 Balisongs, and given the option, I really am going to pick a $200 or $300 Balisong if I can. But that doesn't matter because you're not buying a Balisong to compete with the $200 price range. You're buying a Balisong to either get you into the hobby or to add to your collection. So what do you get for the price? You get a surprisingly well-tuned, good sounding, all around really solid experience. I don't find that this thing struggles with any particular tricks. I don't find that it feels uncomfortable or sharp in too many areas. It's machined well. It looks good. I love the design on the Tonto blade specifically. It just feels solid. It's a Balisong that I would be happy to own to start with, to pay that money for, assuming the price doesn't skyrocket in the coming months. Which it will, but let's worry about that when we come to it, or worry about it now. I don't know. We'll see. It's a scary time for the Balisong hobby specifically, and a lot of hobbies really. That's a video for another day that I may or may not do, because that's a topic that... Anyway, rant aside, it does everything I want it to. It fans great, it rollovers great, it chaplains great, it controls well, good grip overall. The jimping is like slightly raised, ever so slightly raised. You can see the outline of the jimping when you look at its side profile. So you actually get the effects of the jimping rather than just, putting your fingers on the scales. It choker fans amazingly, actually. I really like choker fanning it because it has kind of a rounder but still square profile, which means that you're not losing a ton of performance from those flat sides on something like a fan or a choker fan, but you're still allowing it to have all of that. Oh gosh, you're still allowing it to have enough flat sides to do things that require it, like ladders, and things of that nature. So overall, I think that the Thomas Balisong Refault is an extreme success. I think it's another fantastic entry into budget Balisongs. I think it easily stands up among the rest of our lineup here, going into what I'm calling the big three as some of my favorite options for beginners or just for people looking to expand their collection. But the big question is, which one do I like it? Where does these rank? I think honestly, if you had to look me in the face beforehand, I would have ranked them like this: Orion, Cheese, and then the default, not the Refault, the default down here. And even the default I didn't really consider to be a part of the big three because it was so divisive in how it presented those thick handles. I think in order to be a bastion for recommendations to beginners, you have to do something that generally a lot of people are going to like, and there's not going to be some random part of it that drives away a ton of people. But if you had to ask me to rank them now, I genuinely think it would look something like this. I think the Refault is one of my new favorite beginner trainers. The Orion and the Cheese are still great, and if I really had to rank them, it would look like this. These two tied this one just a tiny bit above. But yeah, I think it's one of my new favorite beginner Balisongs. Now, this is a topic that I'm going to keep coming back to over and over again. Now that I have done this video, I can update my recommendation document in the description to include it and make a lot of updates that I've needed to make over the past few months. This is something I'm going to keep coming back to over and over again, because the reality is these things change positions all the time. Sometimes I like the Cheese more. Sometimes I like the Orion more. Sometimes I really don't like the Orion and I like the Refault more. So like it kind of really does depend on the day, but I think the most consistently I've been enjoying something is either the Refault or the Cheese. The Orion is good. I'm just also trying to keep in mind that I have these zippy things in them, which, I mean, don't affect things too much. Nah, it's something I'll come back to time and time again. These are always going to be changing, but ultimately it doesn't change my recommendations, which are, you're looking for a Balisong? Check these three out. Figure out which one fits your preferences, because these all offer something different. We have sandwich, we have channel, we have channel with scales, we have raw aluminum, we have a coating of some sort, we have, public friendly versus maybe not so much, we have durability versus maybe a little bit weaker. Like there's a ton of different things that you can take into account when you're looking for these, which is why I usually generate a list rather than specifically telling you one. But I ultimately think it doesn't matter which one's my favorite, because these three all easily hang out with each other in that same class. So that's the Refault. And I want to do something special for the people who watch this and who care. Because if you can see, I have three of them. Now, obviously, I'm keeping my favorite one and the one that was designed, but the one that was customized for me. And I will be giving this beautiful white, purple, and black one to someone that I know who is very fond of these colors. But you might notice that there is one left. And as much as I would like to keep it, I wouldn't feel right having two of the same Balisong just sitting here. I mean, granted, I have that in other areas, but I want to give back to you guys, because you guys are the reason that I can do any of this or talk about any of these things in the first place. And all you need to do to win is follow very simple instructions. That's all you need to do. And live in the US. That's pretty... The US thing is more important, but follow some very, very basic instructions. If you want a chance to win this Thomas Refault straight from my collection with the box and accessories and everything, all you have to do is comment down below and put a colon, parentheses, a smile at the beginning. The first thing you type, colon, parentheses, to just let me know, hey, wink, I'm in. I want to win. And then tell me about your experience in the hobby. Tell me what the hobby means to you, where you see it going, anything you want. Honestly, comment anything you want. And here's what's going to happen. Assuming you live in the continental US, it's the only place I can ship to. I'm sorry, shipping elsewhere is very, very expensive and gets very difficult with stuff like this. So someone in the US can comment, and around one day after I post this, it's not going to be for very long. I don't want this to turn into some crazy giveaway thing where 15,000 people are entering. I just want to be able to give back to some of the people who actually watch my videos, care about that stuff, care about these Balisongs, etc. So one day from now, which will be 12 p.m. the day after this uploads, I will pick someone randomly from the comments. You don't have to follow, you don't have to subscribe, you don't have to do any of that. And I am going to do two things. I'm going to pin your comment and I'm going to heart it. What I then want you to do is reply to your own comment with the best way for me to reach you, whether that's an @ on Instagram, your Discord ID, or something along those lines, preferably one of those two. I will reach out, get in contact with you, and we'll figure out where this thing is shipping. That's all I want. Just very simple instructions. Be careful of the bots that will try and reach out to you. I'm never going to send you a link or ask for passwords or anything like that. I am the only one that can pin and heart, so that's why I'm going to do both of those to make sure that you know that that's legit. And then, I will respond. You can even shoot me a message. As long as you send me like your Instagram @ if you then send my actual Instagram account a message, I'll say, oh, it's this guy, and then we can work it out from there. But let's do that. A giveaway for this thing to give back a little bit to the community and, show you guys how much I appreciate it that you guys watch all this time. I wish I could do stuff like this more often, but this isn't a requirement, but I would really enjoy getting someone their first, or maybe their first Balisong or their first good Balisong. So maybe if you're running around with a collection like mine, maybe consider leaving the opportunity for other people, but ultimately I won't police that. Anyone who wants to enter can. And I'll see you guys in 24 hours for the drawing of that. As for how I'm going to pull someone else, it's a good question. But, the pin, the heart, stuff like that. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Best of luck to those of you who caught this video, made it this far, and are going to be entering. And I will see you all in the next one. Later.